I get this question a lot. What would I pay for this bourbon? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. I get the question, what would I spend or what would I pay for said allocated bourbon? How much money am I willing to dish out at a store that, has a bottle of bourbon that I've been looking for, and the price is a little bit higher than MSRP, but it's not quite secondary. But what is that limit that I myself would personally spend for that specific bottle? Now, I am not one to tell you how much money you should spend. I'm only telling you how much I would spend, and I'm not telling you to follow what I would do, and I'm not telling you what to do. But I'm just giving you insight on what I think that these bottles are maximum worth, or what I would be willing to spend for those bottles. Now, before we get into those bottles, though, we hit 4,400 subscribers. We're less than 600 subscribers away from 5,000. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you drop that subscribe button, because you see that bottle of Blantons back there, that could be yours. All you got to do is smash that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below following these bottles on how much you specifically would spend for these, right? I mean, we're in the day and age where bourbon, it's hard to come by bourbon in stores that don't have it at retail, right? It's very, very difficult. There are those handful of stores, but those stores sometimes don't get those bottles that we are always looking for. So we have to spend a little bit more, and we don't want to spend those crazy secondary prices. So if you enjoy the content, also drop that like. If you really enjoy the content, community is growing like crazy. I just gave away a sample of Penelope Rio. I've given away a sample of Elijah Craig's C923 over at the Patreon. So for as little as $2 a month, you could be winning samples such as those. So go check out the Patreon down below. But without further ado, let's get into some of these bottles and what I would spend on them. All right, so starting off with your traditional Buffalo Trace products, your baseline Buffalo Trace. We've got a Buffalo Trace bottle, a single barrel Buffalo Trace, an Eagle Rare, a single barrel Eagle Rare, and then your Blantons. So starting off with Buffalo Trace non-store pick, my top dollar that I would spend for Buffalo Trace is $35. I wouldn't go any more than $35. With tax, you might hit $36, but that is the absolute most that I would spend on a regular Buffalo Trace offering. Hard to find anything less than that here in Jersey, but you possibly can. Single barrel Buffalo Trace. I wouldn't spend anything more than $40. $5 more on that Buffalo Trace single barrel is the max that I would go to see if that flavor profile is anything different than just their small batch offering blend. Next up, we're moving on to Eagle Rare. One of my go-to favorite 90 proof sippers. Absolutely fantastic in my opinion. Regular Eagle Rare, I personally wouldn't spend anything more than $55. A lot of people are like, oh my God, that's almost double the price. This is a $30 bottle. But if you're spending $55 on a bottle of bourbon that you absolutely enjoy, I think it's well worth it, right? You've got Russels 10-year that's pushing $40-45 most of the time now. So for something that you enjoy, in my opinion, I personally wouldn't spend anything more than $55. Now going into your Eagle Rare store pick, again, $5 more, $60 is my absolute max on a Eagle Rare store pick. And then moving on to the one and only Blantons, right? You've got your Blantons here. This is a $65, $70 bottle at MSRP. I myself wouldn't spend anything more than $75 on this bottle. Now, if you are looking for a specific dump date, because you can clearly see dump dates on Blanton's bottles. This one is a dump date of 6/22/22. I would go up to $100 just for that specific dump date, right? I'm looking for a 7/7/23 dump date for my wedding. I haven't found it yet. So if anybody has a plug on a 7/7 dump date Blantons, please hit my line. But nonetheless, I wouldn't spend anything more than $100 on a specific dump date, or if you're just looking for a horsey, wouldn't spend anything more than $75. Hey man, what you doing over there? Oh, hey man, I'm on Give 270's website. What are they doing? Another fundraiser? Oh, you betcha Give 270 is doing another fundraiser, and this one is amazing. They're giving away a truck this time, a 2023 F-150 Lightning Lariat Edition, along with a Weller Foolproof bottle on the passenger seat. And that's not it. They're also giving away bottles of bourbon. Says right here, now through October 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, purchase a $100 ticket to support this exciting fundraiser and get your chance to win. Each ticket has a chance to win a grand prize, the big grand prize, that 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat long range, and a bottle of Weller Foolproof, or one of the 49 bourbon prizes during the live drawing on Wednesday, October 25th. But the one thing is they have to sell 3,500 tickets for them to give away that truck. So let's make sure that everybody knows that to go to give270.org to go purchase their $100 ticket to get their chance to win a freaking truck. But don't fret, if the truck is not sold, they're still giving away some amazing, amazing prizes. If less than 2,000 tickets are sold, the grand prize winner is going to win the entire BTAC lineup. Second prize is going to win a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 23-year. Third prize is going to win a bottle of Pappy 20-year. Fourth prize is going to win a bottle of Pappy 15-year. And fifth prize is going to win a bottle of Van Winkle Lot B. But if they sell 3,500 tickets or more, grand prize winner is going to get their hands on that F-150 Lightning and a bottle of Weller Foolproof, where second place is going to win the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. Third place is going to get their hands on the Pappy Van Winkle 23-year. Fourth place, Pappy Van Winkle 20-year. And fifth place is going to get their hands on that Pappy Van Winkle 15-year. I don't know about you, but I have to go buy a ticket right now. But you're running away from your laptop. You have to buy it on there. So make sure to go check out give270.org for your chance to win some amazing bottles of bourbon, along with the opportunity to walk away with the grand prize of a Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat Edition. All right, so now we have a couple more bottles on the shelf, and we've got Caribou Crossing, Blantons Gold, Stagg Jr., and the Pappy Van Winkle 12-year Lot B. Now for the Caribou Crossing, right, I believe I spent $85 on this, and this is again a $65, $70 bottle. I really, if you're looking for a bottle that you really like the looks of, right? Again, my personal opinion, spend a couple extra bucks on it if it's one that you really want on the shelf just for the looks. This is one that I really just wanted on the shelf for the looks of. I'm not quite sure if I'm ever going to open it. I might. Who knows? We might be doing a review of this bottle here in the future, just if I get bored and want to do it one day. But nonetheless, Caribou Crossing, I don't think it's worth anything more than 80 bucks, right? Unless you're looking for it, go max 100. Again, don't go over 100 bucks. This is an 80 proofer, right? Get 80 proof, low proof. One of those bottles that's really cool looking. If you're looking for the cool factor of it, go for that 100 buck mark. But if you're not and you see it on the shelf, 80 bucks, absolute maximum. Next up, we've got Blantons Gold. Now, again, this is the one that I got overseas. My buddy Andrew picked it up. I talked about it a little bit in the review that I did, but again, I wouldn't go over 175 bucks for Blantons Gold. For me, after that $175 price range, it just loses its value in my opinion. But 175 for Blantons Gold is my absolute maximum. We've got Stagg Jr. here, one of my go-to high-proof drinking bottles, and absolutely fantastic nonetheless. This is a $60, $65 bottle at MSRP. You can never find it for that. I've searched high and low, can't find it. You got to do a couple of trades here and there, find other bottles that match that minimum of that secondary price market, and you'll get your hands on these. But nonetheless, if you do find this in the store for a certain price, my price that I've seen it for and haven't pulled the trigger is 200 bucks. But the price that I've contemplated picking it up at is 175. Again, Stagg Jr., Blantons Gold, two 175. These are both $175 maximum bottles in my opinion. So that's Stagg Jr. Moving on to right here, we've got the bottle I haven't opened up yet, and I'm really wanting to open up at 5,000 subscribers, and I'd really like to hit 5,000 subscribers before possibly the Phillies win the World Series, because if the Phillies win the World Series, I might be cracking this open before 5,000. So let's say 5,000 before the Phillies win the World Series, right? So let's do that. But Van Winkle Lot B 12-year. Won this in a raffle last year. Paid 120 bucks for it. I believe my wife did. it's tough with these, right? These are really sought after bottles, and you have to make sure that you limit your payouts, right? This, to me, if you're looking for the wow factor, I wouldn't go over $200 for it. I mean, one day you will come across this bottle and you will get lucky. I promise you that. But $200 maximum that I would spend for the 12. The 15, I might go up to $300. The 20, $400. And the 23, $500. For those, you'd go $100 increments for each bottle because of the rarity of each. But for Pappy 23, I wouldn't go over $500 because, you know, it's just absolutely insane to me how much those bottles are absolutely going for on the secondary market and which stores are trying to charge for them. Next up, we've got a Lonely Russels 13 here. I paid $170 for this, I believe. And it is delicious, delicious juice. But nonetheless, I would not spend over $200 for this Russels 13-year. A lot of guys are going to say they wouldn't spend over $100 of it on it because of the MSRP factor of what it was last year and how it almost doubled in price, or it nearly did, or it did. But to me, I enjoy this, and if I found another one for $200, I would definitely pull the trigger on it, but I wouldn't go a penny more than $200 for Russell's Reserve 13-year. Next up on the bar top, we've got the Weller lineup, and I've only got 4 out of the 6, I believe there are. I'm missing the single barrel and the CYBP, but we've got the 4 main offerings, the easier ones to find, so to speak. So starting here on the right, we've got the Weller Special Reserve. $35 bottle. I wouldn't spend anything more than $35 on this bottle right here. To me, it's thin, it's bland, it doesn't really got much going for it. So $35 for a Weller Special Reserve is the maximum that I would spend for it. Next up, we've got Weller 12-year. And again, this is a $35, $40 bottle, but for me, I don't think I would spend anything more than $80 on this bottle. It's, in my opinion, not worth it, right? It's got a 12-year age statement to it, but it's still 90 proof, and I wish it was a little bit higher proof with that 12-year age statement. Maybe, you know, you might bump up to $100 maximum, but $80 maximum for the Weller 12-year, in my opinion, is the maximum that I would go. Next up, we've got Weller Antique 107. This is one of the first bottles that I got. I had that, like, go get it mentality, didn't really know what I was doing. I spent $120 on this when I first started bourbon hunting. I saw it at a store. I was like, oh my God, it's a Weller. I gotta get it. So I spent $120 on it. Was it the best investment? No, it was not. Do I regret it? No, because it was a learning experience. Weller 107, it's a $45, $50 bottle, and in my opinion, I wouldn't spend anything more than $90 on it. If you find it for $90, I would 100% say snag it off of that shelf because it's a good bottle for that, right? You got a bunch of other, like, just run-of-the-mill bottles that are going for that same price market, and in my opinion, if you find this for $90, snag it. Finally, we've got Weller Full Proof. This is a $65 bottle. It's a full proof wheated bourbon. It's what William LaRue Weller pretty much is, right? It's what it is going into the cask. Now, WLW is aged a little bit longer. It's not watered back down to what it is at that fill proof. But nonetheless, the full proof, at that $65 price range for what it should be at, my maximum for this one is $150. If you find Weller Full Proof for $150 and you've been contemplating picking it up, my go-to price maximum would be $150. Next up on the bar top, we have the E.H. Taylor lineup, the 4 core offerings from E.H. Taylor. You got the small batch, the straight rye, the single barrel, and the barrel proof. Now, again, small batch, one of the first bottles that I picked up and thought, wow, I need to get that. I saw it at the store for $120. I spent $120. Again, a learning experience. Second time I found this bottle, I spent $50 on it, and in my opinion, that's where it should be. It's a $50 bottle. If you're looking for it, if it's your first E.H. Taylor small batch, the max that I would say to spend is $75. But for me, I don't think I'm going to spend anything more than $55 on this bottle anymore. But for your first E.H. Taylor, again, $75 is my maximum on the small batch. Moving over, we've got the straight rye. I got this bottle for 80 bucks. Secondary prices are going for like $250, but in my opinion, if you find it for 125, if your store's got it in that area, that 120 to 130 maximum, I would go for the straight rye just to have it. You know, it's one of their lesser acquired offerings, and it's one of my favorite ryes. I enjoy this bottle so much. Moving on one bottle over, we've got the E.H. Taylor single barrel. I spent 80 bucks on this bottle of E.H. Taylor single barrel, and I don't regret one penny of it. Really good bottle. Now, for the E.H. Taylor just straight single barrel, I would probably maximum go 100 bucks. E.H. Taylor single barrel store picks, the maximum that I would go is most likely 120, only for that factor of, hey, this is a single barrel store pick. It's a different bottle than what they just traditionally release, and for that factor, I would spend a couple more bucks on that store pick. And finally, we've got the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. You guys know the story of this if you've been around the channel. This was my wedding day pour, and it is by far my favorite bottle of bourbon on the shelves right now. It's been in a couple of blinds, and it is won every single one of them. I spent $225 on this bottle. And I think that's the maximum that I would go on this bottle right here is 225 bucks. If you're looking for it and you know, secondary on this is like $450. MSRP of this is 75, 80 bucks. And, you know, I'm looking at like double the price plus a couple more bucks on some of these. But this one for me, if I found it at a store for $225, I would 100% pull the trigger on this bottle again. Next up, I wanted to throw a couple of more bottles on here that are a little bit more easily available. Some of them might be limited release, but these are bottles that everybody is looking for most of the time, right? And I'm lucky enough to have them, and I'm going to give you what I would spend on them. Larceny. This is a $60 bottle MSRP. The max I would go on Larceny barrel proofs are 75 bucks. I wouldn't spend a penny more on them. They're not worth it in my opinion. I have definitely switched from being a Larceny lover to an Elijah Craig lover, where these are $75 MSRP. My maximum on these would be 90 bucks. The A, B's, and C's, the 3 releases of the year. Same thing with this, 75 bucks, 3 releases a year. The Elijah Craig's, there's 3 releases in the year, the A, B, and the C. The C923, if you find it for, this is the only exception, the C923, you find it for 100 bucks, snag it. 100% worth that $100 price mark. But normally, I wouldn't spend over 90 bucks on these Elijah Craig offerings. Next up, we've got the Maker's Mark Wood Finished Series. These are $65, $70 bottles. This one was a 1-year release. This is most likely the last release that they're doing. I think they're doing a couple of different other offerings here coming soon next year, but word isn't really out for us. But I wouldn't spend anything more than 85, 90 bucks on the Wood Finished Series bottles. They're really good. They are really good, but in my opinion, they just don't hold up to other offerings from other distilleries. So 85, 90 bucks maximum for these. Moving on right here, we've got the Old Forester Single Barrel Proof, the blue label. These range in that price range of 80 all the way up to 120 bucks. And most of the time it depends on the floor and the warehouse and the proof of that single barrel that store got to be that price mark that it is, or the store just really is trying to gouge you. Maximum that I would spend for these is 100 bucks. I wouldn't go a penny more than $100 on these Old Forester single barrel proofs, no matter the floor, no matter the warehouse, no matter the proof. It's just not worth it. It's great juice on its own, but when you put the bourbon to the test against other bottles, it just doesn't hold up. We've done blinds with this against Stagg Jr, E.H. Taylor, Elijah Craig, Larceny, and I'll tell you, it's great juice by itself. But every time it goes up against those other offerings, it just doesn't hold its own, and it just doesn't come out on top. I don't think I've ever had an Old Forester come out on top in a blind. So there you guys have it. That is what I would spend on most of these offerings that I have on the shelves behind me. I wouldn't spend a penny more of that. I'm throwing these recommendations out to you on what I think is a logical spending amount on these bottles, but don't take that, but take everything I say with a grain of salt. Don't hold me to it, right? If you want to spend more, go for it. If you don't want to spend my maximum, don't spend my maximum. We all have our opinions, and I respect yours, and I hope you respect mine. But until next time, this has been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.